Brody, Jeremy Taché with you here. We are a day after the Florida Panthers defeated the Carolina Hurricanes, game one in quadruple overtime. Thanks to Matthew Tkachuk. That game ended at 2 a.m. I slept in my hockey jersey, my Panthers jersey that I
Fully
wore to the
nude.
studio yesterday.
Fully nude under the jersey, right? Just the jersey is how
It's just the jersey.
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh, everybody. Yeah, exactly. Went that way under the covers. Boys,
Roy, we should be tired right now, but I'm not tired because of one of the most epic games in Panther history. My wife was asleep. She went to sleep. She had to work today, so she went to bed. I had to be quiet. It was so intense. Everyone was so tired. It's so amazing. The broadcasters, like Biz and all them during the break, the fans were sleeping. Just imagine the players. Like, think how tired, Jeremy, you were during that game. Now imagine being Brandon Montour.
I was so tired during that game that I fell asleep at points during that game and woke back up during that game. Like I was just doing because it was the longest game I've ever experienced of
it's the
certainly
longest
of
game the
playoff
Panthers
hockey.
ever experienced.
It was unbelievable. I mean, the idea that Brandon Montour was actually physically on the ice for a full hour of ice time, like it was insane. And it was so funny because like from, obviously for me, I'm looking at it from the Bally side as well. And like for Bally, they didn't go on air until afterward. It's just a post-game show. And Katie Engelson, the sideline reporter for the Panthers, is at this watch party in Fort Lauderdale that's going into all hours of the morning. And what's crazy is fans were sticking around. Like it was crazy at that watch party. This was one of the most unbelievable things I've experienced in South Florida sports.
Talking about the Tkachuk goal, this is similar to the Verhaeghe goal in Game 7 of the Boston series, except this was on the near side boards. They won a puck battle. It was Sam Bennett again. He was able to feed Matthew Tkachuk, who skidded out towards the slot and just threw the puck on net. Boom. Game winner.
And I noticed in that whole game, Roy, I was saying, like, because I know you've been talking about Carolina's defense, and you could see it. It was tough for us to generate any kind of control in the zone. The best strategy for us was what's been working for us the entire playoffs: dump the puck behind the net and just go to work. And that's how. And like you said, that's how they got this goal. All of our goals seem to start from behind the net. Somebody gains possession behind their net, makes a pass, or skates around, but they all start with this forecheck. It's hilarious that you've been talking about the forecheck for decades around here, but it's literally the bread and butter for this team.
Well, not only is that go ahead, Roy.
And even that barely worked. I mean, that's how stifling the Hurricanes defense was all game. It only took 4 overtimes for everybody to get tired for that to actually work the thump and chase.
Right. That kind of feels like all it was. It's just eventually they were so dominant, but eventually they just got tired. So there had to be sort of cracks where the Panthers could fit in. And it was only with seconds left in the 4th overtime. That easily could have gone to 5 overtimes and beyond. But like, I don't think we can go any further without talking about Bob. Sergei Bobrovsky had 63 saves. 63 saves. I mean,
it's a little bit of a cheat code. People are like taking that number and running with it. We played 4 overtime.
Yeah,
so
but
like,
he had to make
right. I don't want to take away, but it's, right.
Even more.
You could take away and say like, look, obviously that's
do
compiling.
it in 3 periods. Have 63 saves in 3 periods.
All right, cool.
Me.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. I'm
Dominic Hasek did that.
Bob's amazing.
Yeah, I just can't believe that this guy who, for not just this season, but for like multiple years here with Florida, has had this crazy sort of up and down, and for that matter, he would admit a lot of down in his Florida Panthers tenure, to now be playing, for a guy who's already had one of the craziest postseason runs for a goalie, like to be playing some of the best hockey of his entire career, like as they're taking down all these monsters over and over again. And considering you now just like stole home ice, and not that that's been a huge thing. Like I believe the Panthers now are riding a 7-game road win streak, which is insane. Yeah. Like all of this, just none of it makes any sense. And we keep doing that with the Heat, where we're like, how do they keep doing this? I feel the same way about the Panthers, where it's like, how do they keep doing this in this way?
I almost prefer to start playoff series on the road. It's like if you lose, you kind of feel like the pressure's on them.
Choice in the matter.
It's a great point.
Wayne Gretzky, Wayno, as Biz was calling him, was saying the entire game of like, once we got into more overtimes, the pressure's all on Carolina here.
Yep.
It's like if the Panthers win, it's just a great bonus win, and if And if Carolina loses, they're feeling like, holy shit, we lost one here. And it's just like I was feeling at ease almost the entire time because I was like, even if we lose this, it's a road game. So it's like there's just like it's like a stress-free feeling of starting on the road.
Yeah, I would rather start on the road 5-on-5, no penalties at all each way. That's why I am right now at this point. But I want to talk about the goal that was overturned in the first overtime.
Oh my God!
Colin Wright, who was pushed into the crease, into Freddie Anderson. He was pushed into the crease, right, by the defenseman.
Seemed to make an effort to like get out.
He tried to get out. Yeah. He tried to get out. He tried to get out of the crease. Made incidental content. Goal was overturned. Technically, this game should have ended 2 hours before it actually ended in the first overtime. But hey, what are you gonna do?
And the group chats were flying. We were like celebrating. Like it felt like a good 30 to 40 seconds before we realized, oh wait, they're reviewing this.
It was. I've never seen such a long wait in between. It's like when a ref sort of waits, like in basketball, when a ref waits to see if a layup goes in before calling a foul. Except it just felt like an eternity. Like the Panthers were celebrating. Everybody on Twitter was celebrating. I had said a whole long thing where it's like, yeah, it's over 5-0 in overtime. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, whoops. Yeah. It's really crazy to think that game could have been over as early as it was, and that it was a judgment call. Like, thank goodness that ends up going the way it does, and the Panthers do win, so that it's just it should have been over a couple hours earlier, as opposed to, the Panthers basically playing this in protest.
It was a judgment call from the guys in Toronto. That's where the replay,
of course, it is.
Toronto, interesting.
Toronto, yeah.
Dude, how about Lomberg, though? How about that fourth line? I mean, Lomberg coming back into the lineup. It was a little, the group texts were kind of like, we're messing with chemistry here. We've been winning without him. But I was saying before Lomberg even got that goal that was some of the best energy. The Barkov for Hagee line was great yesterday. But arguably in Tkachuk scored, I was making the argument for that fourth line being as good a line yesterday for us. Anytime Lomberg, like they were talking in the intermission reports, Lomberg had the most energy late in that game. Like, he was flying around the ice when everybody was dead. And I'm glad to have Lomberg back. This team is so much fun. And I am just like, we could do a repeat just saying these words of, this is fun.
Yeah. No, that was not fun. That was not fun.
I loved it, dude.
Torture.
I'm trying to be in the moment in these games. Like in the Heat game a couple nights ago, last night, I'm just kind of like doing like, hey guys, this is really cool what we're experiencing. Like, even if we lose, like there needs to be a small piece of the pie chart that win or lose, we're just enjoying this.
Well, and there's this crazy part with both of these teams. Like, Dan made fun of me the other day when I said that Kevin Love brought this level of chemistry to this team that made them really love each other, and that matters as they go into the postseason. But it clearly has. Like, it just absolutely, it's a fact. It has. But with the Panthers, it's the same thing. Like, this Panthers team is in this mode where they absolutely love each other from the top of the roster down to the last guy who plays. And Lomberg was like a perfect example of coming back in, providing energy, and that in a moment where, literally there's not a game where you could need more energy. His energy really helped buoy this team in moments where, you're right, that fourth line was really kind of doing a lot to kind of keep them in this game and bring that level of excitement to it.
Yeah, it kind of helped because they had the least minutes of everybody who's played out there. So,
like, the fourth line guys are going to get more of a go, but they made the most of it. It wasn't like they were just like, we're out here, holy shit, we're not prepared for this. They were like, we're out here. Anytime that fourth line got on the ice, I was saying to my friend, I'm like, this line is going to get this goal. That's why when Lomberg got that goal, I had been saying the entire game, I'm like, it was a victory lap for me. I was like, this fourth line has been fantastic. And then he got the goal, and then it got taken away, and he bit the stick. God, I love Lomberg. But I'm telling you, even the crew, I love the TNT hockey crew. That's why
don't get me started on Biz.
I love like the intermissions with those, but even they felt the Panthers were going to win. When the first overtime came, they're like, who scores the goal? I believe there's 5 guys at that table, and they picked 4 Panthers. So it's like everybody
guess who didn't pick the Panthers?
Biz?
It was
He's been he picked a stall.
Right.
Oh, okay.
He picked a stall. But Paul Bissonnette, though, has been anti-Panthers the entire playoffs.
He's just a Maple Leafs fan. He has given them their flowers.
The entire playoffs, though. Of course, Boston, greatest regular season team in the history of the NHL. Of course, he's going to pick them. Toronto the entire series because he's a Maple Leafs fan, sounds like me.
Going back to what you were talking about before, also of playing these games on the road, like that's the other part where, and again, this is actually something that Dan mentioned on the show, I think in the Thursday local hour, where it was like Heat fans haven't had to be scared. It's sort of the same, and obviously the Panthers were down 3-1. That's different. But like in playing where you've now won so many road games, and particularly these road game ones, it's like that immediately provides such a crazy amount of relief to the series because you go into game 2 and it's like, all right, cool. If you win, awesome. But if you lose game 2, there's no pressure. Like these next couple of nights, tonight's Heat
there's
game.
There's no pressure till game 4. We could lose if we lose to next game, we're like, it's all right, 1-1, going home with a split. And then even if we lose game 3, it's like we got game 4 to tie it up. Like,
right, and these teams have been so good on the road.
Yeah, it's just
and in overtime because that's their 5th win.
Well, that's what's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you're feeling so much confidence going into overtime, like, oh, these guys are going to win. Like, just based off of past history, like, oh, boy. But that was not fun last night. I'm sorry.
I enjoyed it, man. That's why I have the perspective of last night. I was kind of saying to people, like, even if the Lomberg goal gets taken away, even if we lose this game, this is how the playoffs are supposed to work. You're supposed to lose on the road game 1. Like, we're just so spoiled right now with grabbing these games, getting these 50-50 games where it's like I was prepared last night to just be like, guys, we're down 1-0. This is how this is supposed to work. Like, I was going to be cool with it just because, like, we're due to have one series where we're down a little bit. Like, this is not how this is supposed to work. It's amazing. We have that je ne sais quoi right now of we're going to get, I don't even know if I used that right.
I love that you use that. The Panthers je ne sais quoi.
At least you tried.
There's just something about this team right now combined with the hot goalie. Like, we are just that team right now. It is going to be hard for, like, everybody is buying in. Gretzky after the game, he's just like, this team's got the hot goalie. They're one unit. They're cohesive. When their defensemen go up, they're off. You saw it when they were breaking down that one intermission. Like, we are a unit right now. Our guys just don't even have to look at each other. It's like, oh, I'm covering for you. It's positionless hockey almost at times.
Yeah, you saw the defenseman pinching in.
Yeah,
on some of those plays. I mean,
love a good pinching in. Love a good
Mark Stahl pinching in on plays with his cement skates.
And then there was one. Which Stahl is number 18?
That would be Mark Stahl.
Yeah. He at one point he took a slap shot to the shin, and then they show him on the. This must have been third overtime, and then they just show a cut of him on the bench right after that, like nestling up against one of his teammates because he was just like, "Oh, that hurts so much."
Yeah,
but that's the level of love there, man. I love it.
I was worried about that one because he's already cement skated.
Yeah.
To have something like that happen to his legs, not going to help.
What do we think Maurice thought of that cross-check call on Aaron Ekblad? What do we think of that?
I mean, you saw his reaction after the first period when he walked off, when he walked off the ice yelling at the officials. Like, is that all night?
I saw some offensive things being mouthed. Like, let's be glad that those were not said out loud on a microphone.
Paul Maurice deserves his flowers too, though, man. He has turned this team. It's so funny. Like,
we flipped more on Bob. I was about to say, I know. I mean, don't even get me started on Witty. We asked him to be here today. Where is he? He's got a thing.
Coward.
Who have we flipped more on, Bob or Maurice? It's like 4 months ago. If I said to you, in 4 months, we are going to absolutely love Bobrovsky and Maurice, you would have told me I was crazy. But which one of those would you have said is more crazy?
Maurice, I think, because of the amount of points in the standings the Panthers got compared to this year, despite the fact that Bob, who's making a lot of money, hasn't performed up to that contract up until now.
Now he has. Like, we could even if we lose the rest of the way, he has done enough.
Earned every dime. Earned every dime.
Yeah, we could stop that talk. He's earned every bit of that money.
We were singing Lion King like 3 weeks ago.
It's crazy.
Like I was like every day, not even. Like, it was just like, well, look where we are.
How does Alex Lyon feel about this?
Dude, he loves
I'm sure he's excited. I mean, he's playing his old team. He's up 1-0 right now after 4 overtimes. He was probably ready to go.
And he didn't have to play.
I was imagining if just randomly before last game, Maurice comes in. Hour before
face off.
Hour before face off. Lion, you're starting tonight. He would have just been like, "No, I'm not, Bob." Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine that, like, being put online. He'd be like, "What are you doing? No,
Why are you doing this to me?"
I have a
I wouldn't be surprised if he does that for game 2.
Really?
Just
They
given quadruple overtime, that makes sense.
They played 7 in the third period.
No. So that's
They played 2 in the third games last night.
Roy, you have more experience with this of just following playoff hockey. I get from a conditioning and energy level standpoint, it makes sense to give him a day off, but they can't actually do that, right?
They can. They absolutely
Really?
can. Bob has played every game since early in the Boston series, so they absolutely can, especially coming off of 7 periods of hockey. Come on, man.
know.
They got a day off. One day off.
That was hilarious when the broadcasters were like, oh, "Game 2 is tomorrow," because it was like
God.
it was
past midnight.
It was 2 a.m. So we were in Friday. So it's like, we'll see you tomorrow for game 2.
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
And in less than 12 hours, we have Miami Heat basketball.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Yeah.
And let's get you ready for that with David Sampson and Adnan Anver.
Guys, I'm calling bull on science. Or not science, I should say, but
Dangerous game there, buddy.
conventional wisdom. No,
That's fine.
Tony, I think you're going to be on my side on this one.
Okay, I'm in.
Right? That's all it took.
He hasn't said it yet.
I
Yeah.
know.
No, I'm in, though.
But what if you're not in?
No, I'll be in.
Okay.
Tony will be in.
Someone casually mentioned the saying that we've all heard a bunch of times. No two snowflakes are alike. And I've lived my entire life saying, oh, yeah, no two snowflakes are alike. And then, like a week ago, I thought to myself, that's kind of bullshit, isn't it? Like, we don't know. You know how many snowflakes have existed in the history of the world? How can we check against this? How can we, what's the quality control? How do I know a snowflake from like 1923 isn't the same, in Russia, isn't the same as one that's happening right now, like in the South Pole somewhere?
Well, because the representative samples suggest that no two snowflakes are alike. Over the course of reviewing these things under microscope, they have never found two that are alike.
Yeah, because there are millions and millions of snowflakes, and we're not even counting the ones that melt.
Are you skeptical of fingerprints too? Because I feel like this is in the same vein.
I'm totally with Amin on this. Like, unless you've checked every single snowflake, how do you know? Because science tells us so?
Because science is wrong sometimes.
Sometimes, well, I'm not going to say science is wrong. I'm going to say people are wrong.
The scientific consensus states that the likelihood of two large snow crystals being identical is flatly 0.
Okay, what's the proof?
How do they know?
That flatly seems a little unnecessary. It's just like flatly 0.
Yeah, I feel like they just say things, man. Sometimes.
I think you should really seize on two large snow crystals being identical, because that opens the door for two small snow crystals being identically alike.
There you go.
Now, guys, these snowflakes are all the same. They all care about human rights and decency. Ugh, snowflakes.
Different kind of snowflake.
My bad.
But no, wait, who said fingerprints? That's another one. How do I know?
You're just skeptical?
Maybe I have the same fingerprints as Abraham Lincoln. How do I know?
You know what trips me out is
Honest
that
Abe.
on the planet, there is someone that looks exactly like us.
Exactly.
Exactly. No, exactly like us. Well, we all have a doppelganger out there. Yeah. And we'll never interact.
That can't be true that we all do.
No, we all do. There is.
As they say, there's like 7 of
There's
you.
like 7 people on the planet that look exactly like
At
us.
at the same time or in history?
The same damn time.
Who's yours, Mike?
No,
Nude or with clothes
hold on. I've seen all of Chris's because they're always on Instagram playing basketball.
I know. People are like,
But
it's just-
anytime anyone fat is playing sports and is a little
Right.
bit ginger,
that's the
Chris.
thing. Like, I get all the time in public. You look just like, it's like I just have red hair. That's it.
I get Clooney. Who do you get?
Which Clooney?
George.
Ooh,
Oh.
actually, the number's gone down. Scientists now say that statistically speaking, every person has roughly 6 doppelgangers out there in the world.
So you're saying they were wrong about 7?
What else are they wrong about?
Because science is a liar
Snowflakes.
sometimes.
No. Actually, that means what the confusion is, there are 7 people on the planet with exactly your face.
Oh, I'm the 7th.
Yeah, you're the 7th person.
No, this isn't like that joke of, your mom has 4 kids, north, south, east, and what's the 4th one? You know what I mean? Stugotz, what's the 4th one?
No idea. I was looking up my doppelganger.
Who's your
How would
doppelganger?
you do that?
Can't Google that.
No, I can't. I was looking for his name. I think it's this guy, Jonathan Hawk or something like that. It looks exactly like me. People send it to me all the time
The
on
hockey
Twitter.
player?
Yeah, it's that or Clooney.
People say that I look like Jermichael Green of the Golden State Warriors, and I don't see it at all. His hairline is way too strong, first of all.
I don't think you look anything like Jonathan Hawk.
I don't either, but people send it to me for some reason.
I mean, certainly not these days.
Stugotz looks like Tom Sizemore to me.
Ooh,
I'll take it.
Jermichael
Yeah.
Green.
I don't
But
look
you
like,
you look like Tom Sizemore today.
Yes.
That's a dangerous game you're
Is Tom
playing with me,
Sizemore
Chris.
still with us?
I didn't say
No.
it. He did.
People tell me I look like
so I look
any-
like a dead person.
Yeah, but freshly dead.
Thank you.
A grateful one.
I'll take it.
People tell me I look like anyone with a hat and glasses. Yeah. Anytime anyone's anywhere with a hat and glasses, like, is that you, Billy?
Kind of like
Yeah.
Bartman.
Yeah, Rodrigo Blankenship.
Yeah.
Michael McDaniel.
Did you call him Michael?
I don't know. So I hate that there are too many mics. There are way too many mics.
I was once at a restaurant. I can find it. It's probably 3 or 4 years ago now. In my phone, I have a picture of 2 people that look like Stugotz before and after. It looked like a father and son, but it was. I know it's just unless I can find this picture, this story isn't really going to go much.
Doesn't really do
I'm
anything
going to look
for
it up
us.
though, and we're going to
Well,
close this segment with a
Jesus
great picture of 2
I'm looking
random
up the
people.
same. I think they sent it to me as well.
But also, here's the payoff. You're just going to see it on your phone.
Yeah.
I'll show the camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can zoom in. Don't be such a skeptic, Billy.
Or am I not, Billy?
I don't like it, as I just kind of grab the steering wheel here.
Surprise.
I don't like it when restaurants, if you go to a fancy restaurant and I order soup, you pour the soup in the bowl for me. You guys ever go to these restaurants where like you get a bowl and
Talking
there's some
about
stuff in the
pho?
bowl? Maybe pho.
Yeah, you pour.
No,
the
you mean like a
broth.
lobster bisque that the lobster's already on the bottom
see,
and you have to
if
pour in
if
the
I'm
bisque?
ordering it to go, the pho, like I'm with you. I want my liquid separate. But if I'm going to this restaurant to eat, I've been before where it's like, let me get clam chowder. And they bring you a bowl and there's like a few potatoes in the bowl. And then it's like, what's this? And then they bring you a little liquid to like pour.
I love that.
I must never had soup at a fancy restaurant then because
It's-
I've never seen this self-serve pouring that you're
I don't like
talking
it.
about.
I love it.
This is something that happens to
Yeah.
you a lot.
A handful of times where I'm just like, why am I having like this is you bring me
You want
the
people to
soup in
serve
the
you.
bowl. I'm just saying you're bringing me a
if
bowl.
I
and
wanted
you're
to
bring-
serve myself soup, I would have stayed home for dinner.
Zagak.
Right.
I learned recently along these lines. I just learned recently that when you go to a steakhouse, you order like a bone-in ribeye, you can instruct them to debone it and cut it up for you.
Yeah.
I
I
do
didn't
it all
Slice
the time.
it thin, got the
Yes.
bone on there.
Yeah, like
They, like
I-
put it back into place, like
Yeah,
in the bone.
and in the shape. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can't you do that, Chris? Can you tell them, hey, can you pour the soup for me?
I should though. I mean, I'm not that like I'm just complaining about it afterwards. I'm not gonna actually go through.
But this is so difficult, just
It's
turning your
just-
hand into
But
the bowl.
no, my point is they're trying to be like, ooh, this is a fancy restaurant. At this place, you can now pour it over. It's like they're trying to like impress me with that. It's just like, just give me the soup.
You know what my version of that is? When you order a wine and then they pour a little bit of the wine in there, and I'm expected to like.
Whoever sends that back, who's ever like, this is just not right.
No,
for
people
me.
do it though.
people
They
do.
do. Like wine snobs do it. They'll taste it. They don't like it. They send it back.
My dad will like spin that thing around for like 7 straight minutes. He always likes it. Like he's not doing anything.
Does he
really.
sniff it?
Because he
Yeah,
feels
he's
Smells
gotta
it, right?
sniff
You
it,
gotta
he's gotta
smell
spin
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
little rinse in the mouth like that, like
Like you're
hints-
tasting it.
And you
Yeah.
got to say hints of oak or whatever.
it's like with the water. You just got to.
When you're in Italy doing like a wine thing, they tell you to like gargle it a little bit.
Whoa.
They called it, I believe it was like Jeter. It's like when you get in your mouth, start saying Jeter. It's like Jeter.
The captain.
That's what I
telling
do.
you.
That's what I do at the deli when they slice like my ham or my cheese, and then they
Oh.
give you a little piece of paper
I
to see if
love
it's
that.
thin enough.
See
Oh,
that's
great.
that's different because I'm trying to get free snacks right there.
I always say yes right away. When sometimes I eat it, I'm like, it's a little too thick. I want it a little bit
Yep.
thinner.
No,
I always
no.
just say yes right away. I'm
You
like,
take-
yeah, that's
You
perfect.
take what they give you and then you say
Little
thicker.
thinner.
No,
Thicker
a
or
little
thinner?
thicker.
Do you take a trip around the market and come back for seconds?
Of course.
Yeah, duh. Sorry to insult
Wait till
you.
there's like a new worker there that hasn't seen me.
I'm sorry, Chris. It's like the most insulting thing I've ever said to you.
So you always tell them, no matter if it's perfect or not, to give it slightly thicker just because you want more.
It's like
Yeah.
Huh.
Or thinner.
You guys are talking about food, and it gets me thinking because Tony, in the search for improving himself, has taken to cooking recently. Really? And I heard him complaining about making a terrible mistake.
Guys, this was something that I wasn't expecting, right? The other day, maybe like 2 weeks ago, I was like, all right, we're done cooking. I want to go out. I want to have a nice dinner with my wife. And I was like, man, I'm really hungry, though, but I'm in the mood for sushi. So, as you know, as frequenters of sushi restaurants, sometimes when you eat sushi, it's not enough. You kind of sit there and you're like, you know what?
You can't get the perfect amount.
It's
ever.
It's not a meal for being hungry.
Exactly.
I'm kind of hungry.
Exactly. So you
have to
order
complement
too
it
much.
with like gyoza and stuff, though.
Right. Correct. But it's like, damn, I've got to order 16 rolls to be filled. And I'm like, all right, I want to do something that's like all you can eat sushi.
Oh my God, dangerous game.
Very dangerous game.
game.
So my wife's like, okay, like I'll go with you. I have no, opposition to that. Like, let's go. So I went to a place locally here in town. I'm not going to name it, but I walked in, and I guess my perception of all you can eat prior to the pandemic was different post-pandemic. So I walk in. This is the first time I walk into a place that's kind of all you can eat since the pandemic. And I'm walking around. I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, this is disgusting. Like, I just grabbed something that somebody else has grabbed like 17 times. I grabbed the sushi roll. There's like, when you have the tongs, and then you grab one sushi roll that has one thing, and then you grab something else that has the other thing.
With the same tongs?
Right, and it's like all like built up, like caked up on the tongs. I was looking at that, not happy with it. There was like a grill that had like churrasco and meat and stuff, and I got the churrasco and it was like rubber. I was like, oh, this is disgusting.
It's all you can eat, man. That's the problem.
It's the worst culinary mistake of my life, and I was so upset that I called Lewis and complained for 35 minutes on the phone that I was like, I will never step foot into an all-you-can-eat buffet ever again because it's the most disgusting thing of all time. And it was the worst thing that I have ever done.
Was Lewis helpful? Or
no.
That's not a culinary mistake.
It was a culinary mistake
No,
in the
that's
sense
not-
that, like, it was something that had to do with food, and I went.
No, culinary means you're cooking.
You were cooking,
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be a Tony cooking.
Yeah.
No.
Do you not know what you don't know what culinary means?
It has to do with food. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
No, it
How
doesn't.
did your
It
complaint
has-
about this last 30 minutes? Because like this explanation
I
was
was
a
a
little
lot
long.
No, because it was a lot more passionate. I want to say when it happened.
Well, I'll
because I
just
felt I
say
was duped. Because not only this, it also cost me like $90 to eat there,
Oh.
which is where a lot of my anger came from.
I actually got in my headset while you were saying that what the complaint was and how it lasted for 30 minutes, and it was just the same complaint over and over again. He wouldn't shut the fuck up about it.
Yeah. Well, imagine when you spend
Who's your source?
when you spend $90 on an all-you-can-eat buffet and feel disgusted by it. You got to complain to somebody.
Okay,
Luckily,
well-
Lewis answered the phone.
Well, even though the story wasn't that entertaining, I think we all now know that you don't know the meaning of culinary.
What have you been cooking, by the way?
Of or for cooking is the definition of culinary.
Hold on.
Come on, what are we
We're
doing?
trying to help you.
We're doing semantics.
You're on the
It's a
pursuit of
semantics argument now?
It's not semantics.
That's
No.
not
That's
semantics.
not how
That's
semantics work. Do we have to explain the word
Sorry,
semantics to you now?
Hold on. Before we
It's-
get too deep in this hole, right? I just want to say buffets in general are terrible
Yes.
for one reason. One, obviously, it's like cafeteria food, right?
Disagree.
They just made a bunch and they set it out there and you're supposed to eat it. But more importantly, because you end up paying so much for it, $90, whatever, there's this weird thing inside you. You're like, this is disgusting. I don't want to eat anymore. But I paid $90, so I have to keep forcing myself to eat.
Exactly.
Not just that plate, but many plates.
Yes.
Yes.
You force yourself to continue doing this thing that you don't like doing to justify the thing that you paid. Billy, you're shaking your
You've
head.
never
no.
been to Cece's Pizza, my friend. You
I
go
have
in
been
there, you
to
pay
Cece's.
whatever it is.
Chocolate
Oh,
pizza?
I'm making money at Cece's Pizza. I'll tell you that right now.
That's a different story, though. Pizza and sushi are two different things.
So is culinary and just eating at a buffet.
I can't find the photo.
Is the Weeknd no longer going to be the Weeknd? What's happening with the Weeknd? Is he going to change his name to something else less popular because he's an artistic force who can do whatever he wants and he's ruling the entire music world and beyond? What is his real name? I don't know his real name.
Famously Abel. Yeah, but that's not what he's going to. He's going by his full government name, and a direct quote in a recent interview, The Weeknd, Abel, said he wanted to kill The Weeknd.
Wasn't that like his whole thing
should go by
for the last
Monday.
few albums?
That is Monday is the greatest weekend killer of all time. That is what he should do. You're absolutely right. He should just go by Monday.
I think Tuesdays are worse.
Really?
Abel
Tuesdays are
Mackinnon
awful.
Tesfaye. I say that with a question mark because it could be Tesfaye.
But Tuesdays, you're into the week. Like,
Tuesday, there's really nothing to look forward to.
We're
Greg
halfway to
Cody.
hump day, yeah. Oh, yeah, Greg Cody.
This
I'm not here with Greg Cody on Tuesday, so I don't even have that to look forward to anymore. I used to, but I feel like on Mondays, there's a little bit of an optimism, it's the start of a new week, fresh start. That Monday will be nice. And then Tuesday, you're like, what is the point of this day? What am I here for?
So the Weeknd is, in a matter of weeks, launching this new HBO show, and he's been reported to be dating Angelina Jolie, and he's getting into Hollywood. And I guess he feels like the Weeknd, that artist moniker, pigeonholes him into this chart-topping artist that we've come to know and love. And he says, I'll still make music, maybe as Abel, maybe as The Weeknd, but I want to kill The Weeknd. And I will. Eventually, I'm definitely trying to shed that skin and be reborn. This also could be a PR strategy as he's about to launch this show and be in magazine covers because, let's just be honest, if he does this, he takes away a great Daniel Craig video that kicks off every Friday happy hour, and it just doesn't slap the same way. Ladies and gentlemen, Abel Mackinnon Tesfaye. It's not the same.
Listen, Dwayne Johnson, you're The Rock, okay? Like, enough. We don't have to mess with success. Just be The Weeknd. There's nothing wrong with being The Weeknd. Why don't you want to be The Weeknd?
How old is he? Is he going through a midlife pop star crisis?
He's only 33, so I doubt it. He has been famous for a long time, though.
Yeah. As The Weeknd.
Yeah.
To Billy's point. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Thank you, Stugotz. I think The Weeknd needs all of the advice he can get from you, a musical taste master for the ages.
How old was Stugotz?
I've stuck with Stugotz.
When he became Stugotz, though.
Yep.
Was that when you were in your late 30s already?
Let's see. No.
No, Stugotz, despite his present appearance, broke into the industry pretty young.
Yeah, late 20s.
Was there a point in your 30s where you were like, I want to be John Wiener?
I've never wanted to be John Wiener. I've always wanted to be Stugotz.
So you can't
It comes without consequences. It's amazing.
He doesn't want to shed or grow, Stugotz. He wants to ride Stugotz's laziness till the last heater. He's not interested in career evolution or growth as an artist or change. He just wants to smoke until his hands burn up yellow from smoking cigarettes.
I do find that going by a stage name, and even though I do kind of go by a stage name on here, it's still... My government name is, Michael Ryan Ruiz, and I go by Mike Ryan. So people, not understanding that this is largely performative, think I'm who I am on the air. And who I am on the air, even though in real life I am also an egotistical, it's a far more amplified version of that egotistical. And I did that thing on the air where I'm like, I don't like people talking to me, but that was just an inner thought. It's my preference, and then I made it so. Yeah. And now every time someone comes up to me, they still come up to me. I know you hate this. I'm like, no, every fan that I've ever met has a positive exchange with me, but I'm very different in real life.
I had a very negative exchange last year that I talked about on Mystery Crate once, and I think now that the Celtics and the Heat are once again playing in the Eastern Conference Finals, I will repeat that story for the national audience. I was in urgent care last Memorial Day in Long Island with a sore throat, getting a COVID test. And I walked into the little exam room, and I noticed this man kind of walked in that wasn't the doctor and was like, oh, I'm just looking for paperwork. And I was like, okay, why are you in the exam room? And then he turned and looked at me and said, are you on the Dan Le Batard Show? Wow. And I was like, I was wearing an N95, and I was very, very sick. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, Mike Ryan is so funny with his Heat Eastern Conference Finals bit. And I was sitting there just fuming. I was like, who is this man? And then he's like, I'm a big fan. And then he left. And I was like, should I file a lawsuit?
Yes.
Against this urgent care clinic? Because that was a very weird invasion of privacy.
It was actually, it's going to be on this season.
And it was your fault.
It was going to be on this upcoming season of Undercover Boss. It was me.
It was your fault. So what do you think about Mike Ryan? I'm like,
I think he's a bit of a
Did you have COVID?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you get it from a wedding?
He walked out. The fan walked out, and then the doctor walked in right after and was like, you have COVID. And my head was spinning. It was just an absolute stunning 2 minutes of my life.
That was also me on Undercover Boss.
And I didn't actually have COVID?
No.
God damn it.
Great episode.
Other than that guy, though, all positive.
I have a question for you guys, because I don't know what opportunity I'll ever have to talk about this again. I was at a hospital this weekend, and I saw a piece of art that I liked. But I don't know how I could go about acquiring
You spend enough
that.
time at enough hospitals, Billy, and eventually you'll stumble into one.
Are you okay?
No, I'm fine. I was going because it was Mother's Day, and my mother-in-law works at a hospital, so we went to visit her.
Nice.
But I was walking through, and I saw this piece of art, and I thought, man, I know someone who would really like that. but I can't
What
take
was
it,
it?
right? It was like a picture. It's very specific. So it was like a picture of this cruise ship leaving the port of Miami, and it was like a very nice like ocean thing. But it's my dad's favorite cruise ship, and it's like no longer in rotation. So I was like, man, that's really nice. I bet he'd love it if I could get that for him. But then I was thinking, how would I even do that? Do I hope that the hospital goes out of business and has like some sort of hospital estate sale? Like I can
didn't
just
we have
simply
a-
never get this.
We had a hospital couch at the Clevelander, didn't we? So that may be an option.
But then I have to hope for this hospital to go out of business, and then I just find out about it and buy it.
Hospitals don't go out of business.
Yeah,
Sickness
that's
is
the
the
thing.
greatest recession-proof business there is.
I've been a part
Yeah,
of
but hospitals have gone out of business.
There's
Not
no
that
such
one.
thing.
You're
The-
saying there's never been a
There
hospital?
have been.
In America, sickness
outta
is the
here.
business
No,
that
there's-
keeps on giving. It
there's-
is totally recession-proof. People keep getting sick.
No, there's one off of like Northwest 4th Street over by the Flagler Magic City Casino now. That's just like an abandoned hospital. That's just there. And I think no, because what I think happened is that they sold the land for like $40 million or something like that. So it doesn't exist. But that doesn't help me. I don't know how to tell someone at formerly Kendall Regional Hospital, hey, how can I get that painting off of your wall?
You need to
know
find
what I
the
mean?
artist's name and then Google them.
I don't think it was an artist. I think they just
Is it a photo?
I think that they just printed out like giant photos like on canvas and like put them all around.
But Billy, would it come off the wall if you just simply tried to take it off the wall?
Yeah, but it's
Because-
it's massive. I can't just walk through
not a museum,
hospital
Stugotz.
security
No, but I
now.
feel like it's fair
could.
game. Anything in a hospital is fair
You-
game. Just
Text
replace it
me
with
the
another
address.
picture. No one will notice.
Ooh, Indiana
Bingo.
Jones
Thank
it.
you.
That's a good
Thank
idea,
you.
actually.
Yeah.
It's
we
big.
told-
How would I do that?
We told you the
big?
ladder trick. You go into the hospital
go
with
with
a
you with the
ladder,
ladder.
and everyone thinks that you're supposed to be there working, and then you walk
Right.
out with a ladder and the portrait.
Print
That's a
another
good
portrait
idea.
though
Yeah.
to replace it, so it looks like
Yeah.
we're the ones
Yeah.
changing everything.
If I do walk in with another painting and take it off the wall and walk out with it, I would think no one would ask what I'm doing, right?
If
Right,
you
but you
have
have
the
to
ladder.
make sure
That's
the
what
one
I'm
you bring
saying.
in has the same type of hanging hardware as the one you're taking, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's a 2-screw situation, a 1-screw.
This feels like a wire hanging
Anchor.
situation, but I've hung wire hanging before. I could do this. What kind of crime are we talking here?
Hey,
Like
you're
what
good.
kind of punishment am I
Good.
looking at?
Donate
for-
a little bit
just-
to the hospital,
I'll
you'll be
take
fine.
the-
You
I'll
could
take the-
plead guilty and you'd be out of jail in a couple weeks, I think.
I was accessory to a caper fresh out of high school where I had this friend, Anthony, who was a huge Bears fan. At an ale house, they had an autographed framed picture of Anthony Thomas, the A-Train,
Oh, I love a train nickname.
and he wanted it. And Anthony just reached up. It was
What ale house are we talking about?
I'm not going to say the ale house, but the ale house knows that they're missing an A-Train flag that's autographed. He just put it underneath his shirt. It was way bigger than his shirt, and he walked out like he owned the place. He also stole a flag from Blockbuster Video. In the middle of the day.
What kind
Just
of
showed me. Stugotz
Blockbuster
just
video flag.
pulled up
swear
out
to
of his
God.
sock top 5 train nicknames of all time. We'll do that in a second.
Amazing. By the way, 19 hospitals closed last year.
Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Have you ever been an accessory to a caper? And do you have truly terrible taste in art if you're buying your art or stealing your art from a hospital? Number 5, Stugotz.
Lionel Little Train James.
Number
I
4.
can't believe Mike said that. I just happen to have the list here. The A-Train, but Mike Allstott. The A-Train. He was.
I don't think he was the A-Train.
He was.
Number
Look it up.
3.
Dick Night Train Lane.
Number 2.
Walter Johnson, the Big Train.
And finally, number 1.
Nolan Ryan, the Ryan Express.
Are there any athlete nicknames that are like the conductor? I feel like you're missing like a engineer or conductor.
And the Ryan Express for sure was a train, right?
It was a train, yes.
You really missed out by not putting Shinsuchu on that list.
The choo-choo
How
train.
about Dontrell Willis?
Do you guys wave to train conductors when they go by?
You have to.
I
Same with
waved
boat
to a
captains.
few the other day and they waved back.
Yeah, you have to.
It was cute.
Same thing like every time someone drives by in a truck, you got to go do the thing like this to get the horn. I found a website that sells canvases for hospitals, which seems like a strange business, but that's how it's how
Just
it's
for
positioned.
hospitals?
Yeah, it says buy canvas art for hospital walls.
Washing money.
He's got a point.
You found God earlier this week, and we never got to that story, Tony.
We did, Dan. I'm a changed man, though. Wow. I went out one way, came out another way, and I feel good about it. It was a nice spiritual realignment journey. I was detoxed from my phone for 4 days. It was a beautiful thing.
Which way did you come out of?
I came in as a different person.
Back or front?
And I left the front door.
Love the front door.
God was in just not having your phone?
No, God was in different places, but not having my phone allowed me to tap in to a better hearing posture for that.
You were just more
Hearing
present?
posture? You're so
Yeah.
basic.
There was a magnetism.
You're so basic. You see Aaron Rodgers does his spiritual journey, and you're like, yeah, that's for me.
It was different, but that's okay, Mike. One day I hope you have some sort of spiritual
Hey,
realization.
my boy trying to improve himself. Let's lay off. I believe in you.
Boy
brother.
went to vacation, Georgia.
I did not go to vacation. I went for a
What?
very specific thing to find God, and I found him. He was in the woods.
Tell us more.
How
about
much-
your
how-
hearing
what do you wanna
posture.
know?
How did you do shrooms?
You've
No.
said no actual
Should
words
have.
for like 2 minutes.
It's got to he or she.
You said hearing posture.
Yeah,
which
because
I-
you have to hear from Dan. You get me,
You
right?
have to be present.
You have to be present. You have to be able to hear what things are being downloaded
If
into your
Dan
into
is
your spirit.
co-signing, I feel even worse about it.